Hello everyone, I'm Heather. I'm back for a really quick chat. This one really does have to be quick because I'm on my lunch break, and if I don't get back to work in roughly half an hour, I'm going to get fired. It's basically the situation. So, I'm sitting on my kitchen floor sitting in the open glass door because it's super sunny outside and it made me feel like I should be in the sunshine. But then also it's January, which is a ball ache. So I was like, I don't want to be all the way outside. It's heckin' cold outside. So I thought, if I sit next to the open glass door in my kitchen, it'll just be like an outdoor picnic, but a sort of January version, which I'm okay with. And I'm eating, I don't know, a mix of stuff. I don't really know what that stuff is. I've stolen most of it from my husband in various bits. He is also vegan, so that I know, it must be vegan, but I don't know what it is. And, pretty much that's where my curiosity just extends to. I'm like, is it vegan? Is it free? I will eat that, I think it's, vegan coleslaw part of it? What do you think's in vegan coleslaw? I don't even care. That's fine. They're probably fine. Anyway, just thought we could have a quick chat about my reading for the week, stuff that I read this week, stuff I'm working on for the rest of the week, stuff I'm hoping to get to a bit later after I finish this stuff. And the first one that I read was Animal Farm by George Orwell, and finished that guy because it's heckin' short, and it basically I have so many complicated feelings about Animal Farm, and always my number one feeling is I don't like it, and I know that that's a very unpopular feeling, and I recognize its importance in history, in our culture, in literature in general. It had very well laid out ideas about real things that were happening. It woke a lot of people up to a situation they maybe were not alert to previously. I feel like it has made a big impact on our lives, and that's the mark of good literature, isn't it? So, it is good literature. As a story, I don't know why I don't like it. I think it's just stupid. Also, I think because I had to read it in high school. When you have to read something in high school, you're just destined to think it's dumb, aren't you? When you have to read something you're not into, instead of, say, reading some sort of teen magazine you'd rather be reading, it's always going to spoil the mood. The reason I'm reading it is not because I want to read it. It's because it's for my book club, which I love. I love the people in my book club. I love that the book club exists. I'm saying it's my book club. It's not my book club. I didn't even start the book club, really. It's a book club. It's an office book club. I really like it, and I really like people that are in it, and I'm really happy that I'm in it. But we had this list, right, of a bunch of books that everyone put in a couple books, and we were like, okay, so we'll go down the list of these, and everyone will eventually hit a book that they really like and they really want to read, and we'll just sort of keep going through the list until we run out, and then we'll get new books. But I think at some point people became tired of the list, and they wanted to sort of off-road on the list, and I was like, cool. Let's do that. I'm easy. But then we started coming up with, ones like this. I don't know how we ended up coming to this one. This one that I'm pretty sure everyone in the book club has already read in school when they would rather have been reading a teen magazine. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm going to have to, say to group. So the next one coming up is the BFG, Roald Dahl, which I've also already read. And, it's okay. I feel like at the club, at the meeting this week, I'm going to say, guys, do we have a new plan for the book club? Is it going to come back on to, stuff that's not the world's worst required reading? I mean, I don't know. You probably have a completely different view of Animal Farm and think that it's amazing. I think some people had it as, a political awakening. As a kid, suddenly they realized that they didn't want to be, the same religion and political party as their parents, and just carry on the traditional family line of stuff, that they wanted to, be rebels, and think differently about things, and have brand new thoughts that nobody else in their town had, And that's something, and I applaud that. But I think I was already a bit of a dick in school before I read this, so I didn't need an awakening. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to open up this video with just like the world's worst slagging off of one of the greatest books in literature. Like, it's gonna get better, I promise. I'm gonna be nicer from now on. Also, if anyone from my book club is watching this, I really love you guys. Please don't kick me out of the group. I promise to be better about the next books we read. Okay, so the next one I finished. Whoo, shit. Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. And I loved this one. So good. Like, in sort of the back part, like no spoilers, I promise. It's just like, in her sort of letter or whatever at the end about saying, you know, her thanks to everyone or whatever. She says something about, like, I hope that, you know, I got across this feeling of, like, a sort of dark love for Iceland or whatever that I have. And I thought, yeah, I guess that across is really good. Like, I went to Iceland once, and it is, like, that feeling. Like, it's like an eternal night sort of feeling, like a sort of magical, everything is a fairy tale or a saga or whatever sort of feeling to this island in the middle of nowhere in eternal darkness. And I loved that. I love Iceland. I love, like, you know, yeah, the sagas and type stuff that sort of the tales that they tell there. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the book other than it sort of set the scene. So, it takes place in Iceland in 1820, and it's a real life thing. Like, obviously, it's historical fiction. Like, it's a fictional account of people that really lived and things that really happened. So, this woman murdered someone, these people on a farm or whatever. So, it was like these 3 people that were taken down for murdering these 2 guys on a farm. And they were executed. They were sort of sentenced to death. And then they spent the rest of the time sort of between their sentencing and the carrying out of their sentence. One of them lived with a farmer family, like a man and his wife and his kids on their farm. Sort of worked with them and everything. And in the story, she gets really close with them and she sort of whispers the account of everything that happened to her and how her life has been and how she feels about things, and they sort of get to know her and they get close to her, and there's sort of like a strong feeling of like the injustice of everything, sort of a really patriarchal, sort of strong patriarchal culture, sort of really weighing down on this girl who had no other options and just ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time with nowhere else to go, you know, and sort of, I don't know, it was amazing. I really liked this one. And she sort of says in her part where she thanks everyone, she thanks Geraldine Brooks, like, as a friend or as a mentor or whatever, and I love Geraldine Brooks. I loved Year of Wonders. I loved People of the Book. So I sort of did kind of get a bit of that hint in here, sort of similar-ish. I really loved the characters. I loved the setting of it. I love that it's a real thing. Like, I googled the real event and it's chilling. Like, yeah. Okay, anyway. That was a 5 stars. 5 stars for me, generally. Okay, so the third one that I finished this week is Tilly and the Book Wonders. It's like a Pages & Co. one by Anna James. This is another really good one. This is, a middle grade one, so, you know, for like 10-year-olds, but it's amazing. Like, it's got, wait, balls. Oh, look how cool it is. Anyway, basic premise is this girl, she lives in a bookstore with her grandparents. Her parents are missing, like her dad is dead and her mom like disappeared at one point and they don't know where she went. And she's pretty happy, you know, getting on with her life, but she really loves books and she loves to read and everything. And then she sort of finds that things are a bit weird in the store. There's people around that she's pretty sure she didn't see them come in or leave. They're dressed a bit weird. You know, they look a bit like characters in books. Whatever. And then she realizes that not only are they characters in the book, but she can go in the book. But anyway, that's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it for you because I definitely want you to read this one. But there's loads of like twists and turns and things that I didn't expect, like coming up about her life, you know, about her parents, her mother's disappearance, her grandparents and their history, her friend, like they get to show bravery and adventure, you know, while finding out various things and loads of twists and turns, and I really liked that. So there's a second book. I have put it on hold from the library. So it's one to do about fairy tales or whatever. It's the next book in the series with the same people. And I'm honestly not sure how it's going to go because a lot of what I loved about this book was finding out about the girl, like all of her secrets and history and like the mysteries in her family and stuff. But now that you already know that, I guess she just goes forward into another adventure, you knowing everything about her, and I feel like finding out about her was one of the best bits. But I've got an open mind. You know, I feel like Anna James is probably a pretty good writer, so I'm gonna trust in her and put her next book on hold at the library, and we'll see how it goes. But this one was amazing. This was a 5-star read, definitely. Okay, so dear God, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna be late. I'm feeling bad about the Animal Farm thing. Some people's favorite book. I don't want to shit on that, you know? Maybe I should like put a bit of a thing in front of it and be like, if you love this book, maybe you should skip to the next part, you know? And it's not a hatred of the book, you know? It's just that the story wasn't particularly enjoyable, you know? Like, I get that, like, okay, the main pig guy is Stalin, the main farmer guy is the Tsar, you know? The other sort of human dude is supposed to be Hitler or whatever. Like, everyone represents something and it's a clever representation of, like, real world events. It's just a bit stupid. I don't really like it as a book. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Books I'm in the middle of for this week. One that I mentioned last week. Philip Pullman, The Golden Compass and or Northern Lights, depending on where in the world you come from and what your publishers in your area have decided to call it. This one, guys, is good. I'm so glad I didn't allow myself to watch the show. Like, it's on BBC or HBO or whatever, the show that just came out about it. And I'm glad I didn't watch that because stuff is hitting me in the face, okay? Slap, 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 stress, anxiety, reading, like nail biter, just sweating profusely, desperately wanting bad things not to happen anymore. But like, basically, the premise is this girl lives in like an other kind of Oxford, like sort of like the Oxford that we know, but actually like magical. And everyone in it, like the humans, they all have demons, which are just like their souls outside their body in the forms of animals. And they have to protect their demons, because if their demons die, they die, whatever. And this little girl, she's a bit of an orphan. She lives in Jordan College, which is supposed to be like one of the sort of like religion colleges or theology colleges of like this other Oxford. And she was plonked there by her uncle, or whatever. So she later finds out that her parents aren't who she thought they were, and the reason that she's at Jordan College isn't why she thought she was there, and that she basically is the key to saving the universe or whatever. Like, fate has put her in a position to where they need her to save everything, whatever. But anyway, I don't want to give away too much of the thing. But I am buddy reading this with Sarah from Your True Shelf. And she did watch the show beforehand, and she's like, it's not exactly the same. So, you know, if you've watched the show, I would say still read the book. She seems to be still enjoying it, even though she knows some of the things. Like, she's not as shocked by things as me because she saw them coming. But I imagine it's just like sort of reading a book twice, you know, where you sort of know what's going to happen, but you get something new on every reading. So we were thinking again, like, oh, maybe we'll also read the other two in the series, and then she won't know what's going to happen because she hasn't seen that show. But I'd be definitely up for that because I'm loving this one. We're almost to the end now. But also we have a thing, like, we're like, oh, we should only read 30 pages a day or whatever. So I, like, read to the end of my 30 pages or, like, the end of my 2-chapter things. And I'm like, don't read anymore. Just leave it for now. You can read it more tomorrow. But anyway, love that one. Okay, next one I'm in the middle of is not getting rave reviews from me. Like, all of my rave went into this one, and I don't have any left. This guy, like, okay, I'm gonna do another one. The other one I'm in the middle, no, okay, I was gonna say the other one I'm in the middle of is better, and I'll say about that, and then I'll leave the crappy one for later, but I feel like I need to do, like, a shit sandwich, you know, like when someone's like, feedback, you know, like, good feedback, bad feedback, good feedback, like a shit feedback sandwich. I'm gonna do that with like a shit book sandwich, I think, and the meat is the shit. I loved the idea of this book. It's called If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. I love like Japanese like translation novellas. I think they're like weird in a way that I like, and just loads of things happen in them that are normal in Japan, but because I'm not from Japan, they're slightly weird, and they add like an element of weirdness to something that's otherwise normal. Do you know what I mean? I just really, really like them. So I was chatting with Sarah, again, your true self, Sarah, and she said she was reading another Japanese one. I can't think of the name of it. I'll put it like down here, and she said that one was really good, and I think I'm just gonna do that one next because I can't end my Japanese like translation novella situation on this one. Like I've got to immediately jump back on the bike or else I'm never gonna get back on. But basically the premise of this one is that the guy is dying of cancer. He's got like a week to live, and the devil visits him, and he's like, I will give you back a day of your life for every one thing you give up from the world, you know? So he's like, phones, I'll take phones out of the world. No one in the world will have any more phones. They'll no longer exist. You'll earn back one day of your life, and you'll have another day, and you won't be in pain. You'll just live your life happily. He does that with a bunch of stuff. We're only a couple of things in. Like, I'm halfway through. He's only sort of 2 things in so far being taken away. And it's hard to say where it's gone wrong. I think probably the translator is part of the problem, in that I can't imagine why it would have sold over 1 million copies in Japan if the language is the same in Japanese, because it's not good in English. Like, it's really forced, and like, it's like a forced casualness. Like, he's trying to be like, oh, hey, you, like, I've been over here a while. Like, yeah, I can't even fake it. Like, I'm shit at that. Like, just basically, it's like a 10-year-old kid who's trying to hang out with 16-year-olds and trying to say things that he thinks a 16-year-old would say. You know, he's like, ooh, that's tight. Can I have a smoke? You know, but he's doing it all wrong, and 16-year-olds are like, what is this kid doing? Like, it's a bit like that. Like, the guy's trying to talk casually and coolly and, like, you know, off the cuff, and it's coming across really, like, forced and fake. So I think that's a translation problem. I don't think it's the author's problem originally, the Japanese version. Also, a problem that I'm gonna just say, I know I'm gonna step on some feathers, and I apologize for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I feel like, you know, we're friends, and we can be honest with each other and have real talk and still respect each other on the inside. I feel like part of the problem is that it reminds me of Tuesdays with Morrie. I said it. I've said it now. I apologize for that. I had to read Tuesdays with Morrie in high school. Again, it's probably why I hated it. Or it could be because it's just over maudlin bullshit. Could be, who knows, okay? But like, it's just over the top forced emotionalness, you know? It's like somebody's trying to make you cry, you know, and they're like, okay, someone make you cry. Children die every day in Africa. They die. They die in Africa. Like, it's like forced. It's not like leading you into a situation where you like feel really emotional and you're like, oh Jesus, like, you know, like, it's not genuine emotionalness. It's like trying to make you think about things that the author thinks will make you sad, or like focusing really intensely on sort of stereotypically sad things, or like trying to get you to overthink things in life in order to make you feel strongly about things you wouldn't normally feel strongly about, and it's not working. I don't know. I'm having a really hard time explaining it. Other than that, it makes me feel similarly to how I felt when I read Tuesdays with Morrie. Just like, this is a bit much. It's a bit over the top. I understand that you're trying to make me cry, but I'm just like annoyed by how cliche and annoying this book is. And that's basically this one. Definitely gonna finish it because I've only got that much left. I've already invested this much in it. I might as well. And I tend not to DNF books anyway. I don't know why. I just feel like, what if here it gets really good? And then I've just wasted all that time, and then I missed this part that actually is really good, you know? It's all a bit of a problem. I'm running out of time. Gotta be quick. Okay, so the last one that I'm in the middle of currently, that I'm actually reading now, is Sal by Mick Kitson. I'm only a couple pages in, TBH, but I'm really liking it so far. So, I mean, based on the fact that I'm only a couple of pages into it, you know, sort of take this review with like a pinch of salt, but it's so good so far. This girl, she's sort of a teenage girl, and her little sister who's 10, they're in the wilderness in Scotland. They've sort of run away together, or sort of the elder sister sort of made the 10-year-old run away, and the 10-year-old sort of going with it. But the teenage girl has like watched loads of YouTube videos and sort of read the SAS handbook and everything in order to sort of like survive in the wilderness. And she's like, oh, this is the last, you know, pristine like wilderness in the UK. It's really far up in Scotland. I imagine her having like a really thick Scottish accent sort of talking about this. And she sort of says things like, oh, I need to build a fire according to the SAS handbook, but I'm worried about the smoke. And then you sort of find out that it's not just, you know, a bit of fun. They've run away for a reason. She's also done some things, read some YouTube tutorials about how to install a lock on her sister's door due to the people who live in her house back home, and who would start in on her sister now that she's 10 and sort of stuff like this. Like, so it's got like a really cute sort of like, you know, fun adventure angle with these like kids in the woods trying to survive, but also like a really dark side to it as well. Like, they're not there because it's going to be a jolly, you know, they're there because they've had to run away because horrible things will happen. But anyway, loving that so far. It's actually pretty short, so hopefully I'll be able to get that to the library before it expires. I think it needs to be back on the 28th, so I think I've got quite a bit of time. Okay, so I also want to say quickly, I'm also in the middle of, like, not with me, but with my kid. So my kid and I read books every night, like before bedtime, and we like to read graphic novels. Like, sometimes we read adult graphic novels, but that's not really our favorite. Our favorite is like middle grade graphic novels. So the one that we were on before was the Tea Dragon Festival, which is really beautiful. It has like beautiful illustrations, and it's about like this dragon and these tea dragons, like all these sort of magical creatures that live with these normal humans sort of in a rainforest type thing. But for some reason my kid wasn't really into it, so we've sort of shelved that one for now. I never DNF a book, so I'm gonna come back to it. We're on chapter 3, we're sort of like in the middle-ish. I think I'm gonna shelve that one for now and come back to it maybe in a couple months or whatever when my kid is sort of more into it. I thought she'd be more into it than she is, but we've started a new one which she's 100% into, and I think it's hilarious as well. It's called The Bad Guys in Intergalactic Gas by Aaron Blabey. So my mom bought this one for my kid, and it is hilarious. Like, basically these zombie animals are taking over the world, like zombie bunnies and zombie dogs and zombie horses or whatever, and it's being done by this like really evil doctor or whatever, and they have to find the evil doctor, but apparently he's on the moon. So this like group of the bad guys or whatever, this group of a couple of animals, like a spider and like a piranha and a wolf, they have to go together as heroes to the moon to like get him and stop these zombies. But the piranha's obsessed with burritos, that's hilarious. One guy is apparently about to poo in his spacesuit, according to the back, and my kid is loving this. And also I'm really liking it. Like, it's really good, like easy illustrations and stuff, you know, so, I really like reading it. I think it's really funny. She's really liking it as well. I think probably it's only going to take us another day to get through like most of the stuff because we're both really liking it. But anyway, I'm going to say, last thing before I have to go back to work, the book that I just got from the library, my hold on it just came in. So after I'm done with the ones that I'm reading now, I'm going to move on to this next one. Guys! I'm so excited to start this book. It's Naturally Tan by Tan France. It's one of the guys on the Fab Five, you know, like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, the new version of it on Netflix. I love Tan France. He's my favorite of all the guys. Like, he's the only British one as well. Like, and he just seems so sophisticated. Like, he's always on about a French tuck. So now I just French tuck all my shirts. Like, I don't even care that only he can pull it off. I'm still gonna do it because it's the perfect accent to any outfit. I just love things that he says. He's married and his husband is really cute as well. Like, I googled it, obviously. But he always just looks so suave. Like, look how put together and suave he is. And I have so many questions about his life. I'm like, why are you on this American show? Why is your accent a bit weird? Like sometimes Londony, sometimes sort of like, what, Birmingham-y? Like a bit Brummy? Like I don't really understand where he's from or why he's like that. He always makes references to like his Asian family as well. So I'm super excited to nail this book. And that's 100% coming right after I finish one of the other 3 that I'm reading currently. Okay. I apologize for this video going on for a really long ass time. I didn't even finish all my food. I'm gonna have to put it in a Tupperware and take it to work because I am long past the time that I was supposed to go back. Okay. I'm sorry for slagging off Animal Farm. I'm gonna have to put some like thing on there saying, please go to this section to hear me apologize for this rant or something. I don't know. Okay. I love you all. Thank you for watching this video. If you have anything to say about any of the books, please let me know. I'd love a bit of a chat about that. Let me know what you're reading this week or what you're planning to read or anything. That would be really awesome. Okay, I love you. Bye.